There are more genuinely good 75-inch televisions available right now than at any point in consumer electronics history. That sounds like a great problem to have. In practice, it means that the gap between walking out of a store with the right television and walking out with the wrong one is wider than ever, because the differences that actually matter are invisible on a showroom floor under store lighting designed to make every screen look equally impressive. 75 inches is the size category where the stakes are highest. A screen this large in a living room is not a purchase you revisit in 2 years. You are choosing the centerpiece of the room you spend the most time in, and the technical differences between the televisions in this category at different price points are dramatic. I have been through the independent testing data from RTings, Tom's Guide, What Hi-Fi, Consumer Reports, and Android Headlines, each of which conducted hands-on evaluation across the full 75-inch market. These are the 5 75-inch televisions worth considering right now, and I'm going to tell you exactly which one belongs in your living room based on how you actually use a television.
Number 5. TCL QM6K, 75-inch, the best 75-inch TV if budget is the first priority. Starting at number 5, the TCL QM6K in the 75-inch configuration, and this is the machine that proves large-screen television no longer requires a large-screen budget to be genuinely impressive. RITNGS named it the best television under $500 across the full market, and Tom's Guide specifically called out the 75-inch version as the best large-screen option for buyers who cannot or will not stretch past the affordable tier. Let me explain what you actually get at this price in a 75-inch panel, because the answer has changed significantly in the last 2 years. The QM6K uses QD Mini LED technology, which combines quantum dot color enhancement with Mini LED backlighting and local dimming. That combination, which was previously available only in televisions costing several times as much, means the QM6K can produce dramatically deeper blacks and more vivid highlights than any edge-lit LCD at any size. The local dimming feature is the specific capability that RITNGS cited as what separates this television from similarly priced alternatives, and in a 75-inch panel, the contrast improvement this produces is visible immediately. Google TV runs the Smart platform, providing fast and comprehensive search across streaming services simultaneously, access to every major streaming application, and a voice control system that actually works without requiring a separate device. Gaming performance at this size is where the QM6K genuinely surprises. The native 144 Hz refresh rate, with support up to 288 Hz for compatible content, variable refresh rate support, and HDMI 2.1 connectivity make it the strongest gaming television available at this price in this size category by a significant margin. The honest limitation is peak brightness. The Hisense U8 series outperforms it on raw brightness output, which affects HDR impact in rooms with significant ambient lighting. But for a buyer who wants a 75-inch television with real local dimming, real gaming performance, and a smart platform that does not frustrate you daily, the TCL QM6K is the most honest large-screen purchase at its price. Number 4. Hisense U8 GQ 75-inch, the best 75-inch TV for bright living rooms. At number 4, the Hisense U8 GQ in the 75-inch size, and this is the television for the buyer whose living room gets the kind of afternoon sunlight or overhead lighting that makes most televisions look washed out and unconvincing. TechRadar described it as delivering a fantastically bright screen with low reflectivity, and that combination is precisely what defines this television's place in the market. The peak brightness on the U8 GQ reaches levels that allow HDR content to actually behave like HDR content, rather than merely claiming to support the format. Most televisions in the mid-range tier technically support HDR, but cannot get bright enough to display the highlights that high dynamic range video was designed to show. At 75 inches, where the screen is filling a significant portion of a person's visual field, the difference between a television that produces genuine HDR highlights and one that does not is immediately and substantially apparent. The more than 2,000 local dimming zones provide contrast control that competes with panel technologies that cost considerably more, maintaining deep blacks in dark scene areas while allowing simultaneous bright highlights in other parts of the frame without the haloing or blooming artifacts that lower zone implementations produce. The low reflectivity screen coating is the feature that earns this television its place for buyers with challenging room lighting. Where most panel surfaces bounce ambient light back at the viewer and wash out the image, the U8GQ diffuses that light so effectively that the picture remains bold and saturated even with overhead lighting and windows in the room. The built-in 4.1.2 channel speaker system is better than any other television at this price and reduces the urgency of an immediate soundbar purchase, which matters for buyers managing a total room budget. The limitation most consistently noted by reviewers is that the Google TV implementation on the U8GQ, while functional, carries data sharing behaviors that some privacy-conscious buyers find concerning. But for pure picture performance in real-world living room conditions at 75 inches, the Hisense U8GQ is the most capable television at its price.
Number 3 is the Samsung QN90F 75-inch, the best 75-inch TV for Samsung ecosystem users and gamers in bright rooms. Number 3 is the Samsung QN90F in the 75-inch configuration, and this is the television that What Hi-Fi called an outstanding living room TV after extended evaluation, and that Android headlines after a month of daily use with the 75-inch model specifically said might make you forget about OLED entirely. It is Samsung's flagship 4K LCD television for 2025, and it carries the price that comes with that position. But what it delivers in return is a combination of capabilities that no other mini LED television at this size matches. The matte anti-glare coating is the feature that most distinguishes the QN90F from competing mini LED televisions in this size range. Samsung has developed a glare diffusion coating that does not simply reduce reflections the way standard matte coatings do, but actively maintains contrast and color saturation while diffusing ambient light. The practical result, which reviewers across Tom's Guide and What Hi-Fi both noted specifically, is that blacks remain deep and colors remain punchy even in direct afternoon sunlight through a window. Most televisions, including most mini-LED televisions, sacrifice either brightness, contrast, or color accuracy when ambient lighting increases. The QN90F resists that trade-off more effectively than any other LCD television in this size category. Gaming performance sits at the 98th percentile according to testing data, with HDMI 2.1 on the relevant ports, FreeSync Premium Pro, Auto Low Latency Mode, and variable refresh rate support, creating a gaming feature set that competes with dedicated gaming displays at this screen size. The NQ4 AI Gen 3 processor handles real-time upscaling, contrast adjustment, and motion processing with a sophistication that makes standard broadcast and streaming content look better than the source material warrants. 7 years of software updates are promised, taking the QN90F into 2032. The honest limitation is that the overall picture quality score in controlled darkroom testing sits at the 45th percentile, which means buyers who watch primarily in light-controlled home theater conditions will get more cinematic performance from an OLED at a similar or lower price. The QN90F is the right choice for buyers in bright rooms, for gamers, and for buyers already in the Samsung ecosystem who want their television to integrate cleanly with their phones and smart home setup.
Number 2. Samsung S90F 77-inch, the best large-screen OLED for most buyers. At number 2, the Samsung S90F in the 77-inch configuration, and this is the television that sits at the intersection of OLED picture quality, competitive pricing for the technology, and a smart platform that has become genuinely mature. Multiple major review sources, including Automated Home, place the S90F as the benchmark for versatile large-screen performance, specifically noting that its QD OLED panel merges pixel-level contrast with quantum dot color enhancement in a way that produces deep black levels and vibrant colors simultaneously, which is the core promise of the QD OLED technology. Let me explain why that matters at 75 to 77 inches specifically. OLED displays produce black levels by simply turning individual pixels off entirely, which means the darkest parts of a scene on an OLED panel are genuinely dark, rather than a lighter gray that edge-lit LCD panels produce. At 77 inches, where dark scenes and films fill most of your visual field, the difference between true black and LED backlit near black is not subtle. It is the single most immediately noticeable picture quality difference when comparing an OLED to an LCD of similar price in a controlled viewing environment. The quantum dot layer in QD OLED adds color volume on top of the OLED black level advantage, producing saturated, accurate colors at brightness levels where standard OLED panels begin to desaturate. The Motion Accelerator 144 Hz handles fast-moving content and gaming without the motion blur that affects lower refresh rate panels, and the gaming feature set covers the essentials without the depth of gaming-specific features that the QN90F provides. The Tizen Smart Platform is fast, well-organized, and integrates with Samsung's broader device ecosystem cleanly. The important limitation that reviewers consistently note is that the S90F does not support Dolby Vision, relying on HDR10 and HDR10+ instead. For most viewers, the practical difference is subtle because the television's tone mapping handles HDR content effectively regardless. But buyers who use Apple TV+, Disney+, and Netflix specifically for their Dolby Vision streams will not get the absolute highest quality those services can deliver. For buyers who want OLED picture quality at 77 inches with Samsung's ecosystem integration and Tizen software, the S90F is the most broadly capable option at its price.
And here's number 1, the 77-inch LG C5 OLED. This is the television that Tom's Guide selected as the best television in the 75-77-inch size range after their market-wide testing, and also rated as the best TV in this size category. It is the television that Consumer Reports considered one of the best televisions of the year and specifically praised for its excellent picture and sound quality in comprehensive reviews. It is the television that Notebook Check called a strong value compared to Samsung rivals after analyzing the full competitive landscape at this size. And it is the television that real owners across Best Buy, Amazon, and PC Richards reviewers consistently describe with words like outstanding, premium, and cinematic in feedback gathered across months of daily use. Let me explain what the LG C5 delivers at 77 inches that earns it the top position on this list, because the combination of capabilities it offers at its current market price represents a value proposition that no competing television in this size range can match. The OLED Evo panel uses over 8.3 million self-lit pixels, each capable of producing its own light and turning itself off completely for true black. At 77 inches, this means the screen delivers what LG accurately calls perfect black and perfect color simultaneously, which is the fundamental technical advantage that OLED technology holds over every LCD alternative, regardless of how many mini LEDs, how many dimming zones, or how sophisticated the backlight processing. The Alpha 9 AI Processor Gen 8 handles upscaling, tone mapping, motion processing, and sound enhancement with real-time AI analysis that makes lower-resolution content, which is most of what people actually watch, look significantly better than the source quality warrants. AI super upscaling was consistently praised by real owners for bringing older television content to life on a screen this large, which is not a trivial capability when much of your streaming library is not native 4K. The gaming feature set is the most complete available on any OLED television at this price. 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, not 2 or 3, but 4, each carrying the full 48 gigabits per second bandwidth required for 4K at 144 Hz. variable refresh rate up to 144 Hz for PC gaming specifically, G-Sync, AMD FreeSync Premium, Auto Low Latency Mode, and HGIG support covering every major platform and use case. A 0.1 millisecond response time that makes input feel instantaneous, and RTINGS measured input lag in real testing that competitive gamers confirmed minimizes the latency that can affect performance in fast-paced titles. Dolby Vision is fully supported, which means content from Apple TV+, Disney+, and Netflix plays at the absolute highest quality those platforms can deliver. Dolby Atmos is supported for the audio equivalent of that experience. Filmmaker Mode presents films with the color and frame rate the director intended without any processing added by the television. The WebOS 25 platform is fast, logically organized, and includes Xbox Cloud Gaming built in, which means you can play Game Pass titles on a 77-inch OLED without connecting any additional hardware. The AI features integrate Alexa voice control and smart home functionality cleanly. The Bright Room Ready certification confirms that the panel performs in well-lit environments, which addresses the most common practical objection to OLED technology. The current market pricing, which has dropped significantly from the original retail position, means the 77-inch C5 is now available at a price that makes it directly competitive with premium mini LED alternatives that cannot match its picture quality in dark or mixed lighting conditions. The honest limitations are worth knowing. The built-in 40-watt speakers are adequate but not impressive, and pairing the C5 with a soundbar is the upgrade that transforms it into a great television into a complete home theater system. The remote cursor pointer feature received consistent criticism from owners for being difficult to control and impossible to permanently disable. DTS audio pass-through was discontinued in LG's 2025 lineup, which affects buyers with older AV receivers. And for buyers who watch exclusively in rooms with intense direct sunlight, the Samsung QN90F's anti-glare coating provides better protection than the C5's Bright Room Ready certification alone. However, for a buyer who wants the best picture quality, the deepest blacks, the most comprehensive gaming features, full Dolby Vision support, an advanced smart platform, and the 4-year proven OLED reliability of a brand that has led the category since its launch, the LG C5 OLED is the clear winner in this size class this year as a complete 77-inch television.
Here is the direct answer. If budget is the first consideration and you want a 75-inch television with genuine local dimming, real gaming performance, and a smart platform that works well every day, the TCL QM6K is the most honest large-screen purchase at that tier, and nothing else at that price comes close for picture performance. If your living room gets significant afternoon sunlight or overhead lighting and you want a mini LED television that holds up better than anything else in that brightness environment at a reasonable price, the Hisense U8QG with its high peak brightness and low reflectivity coating is the right choice. If you are in the Samsung ecosystem, watch primarily in a bright room, game seriously, and want a flagship mini LED television with 7 years of guaranteed software support and the best anti-glare performance available in an LCD panel, the Samsung QN90F is built specifically for your situation. If you want OLED picture quality and black levels with Samsung's Tizen platform and QD OLED color volume, and you can accept the absence of Dolby Vision, the Samsung S90F at 77 inches is the most versatile large-screen OLED at its price. And if you want the best 75 to 77-inch television available right now, with 8.3 million self-lit pixels producing true black, 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, full Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos support, a gaming feature set that covers every platform and every use case, AI upscaling that makes everything look better, and a price that has dropped to a point where it is directly competitive with the best mini LED alternatives, the LG C5 OLED 77-inch is the answer. Links to all 5 are in the description below. If this helps you figure out which screen belongs in your living room, hit like and subscribe to Product Research Specialist for more honest buying guides like this one.